Hi guys, I'm Matt from America. I'm extremely desperate after what just happened to my family and need advice from you guys. If not, I may end my life right here and now. I'm a government worker, and my wife, Anne, is a high school teacher. Although our life is not too well off, we're still relatively happy and don't lack any material things. We were matched by acquaintances, and after our dating for a year, we got married. Our feelings grew slowly, with not too many ups and downs. Outsiders often look at our peace and wish to have the same thing. But the truth is, we often bicker over small things too. Anne is a literature teacher who likes daydreaming and indulging in literary works all the time. She's easily moved and sobbed with the smallest details, while, on the contrary, I'm too dry and realistic. She often criticizes me for my lack of affection and cares for her. For me, what Anne complained about were all small things. I'm a kind husband and not promiscuous. As soon as I finish work every day, I immediately come home to my wife. Sometimes I do things to surprise her too, but they're usually only realistic actions. However, saying sweet things as sweet as honey, setting up romantic dates, or buying surprise gifts to pamper my wife is rather difficult for me. I thought that was enough, and I was dissatisfied when Anne asked for more of me. Those resentments from Anne, in my opinion, were just the spice of a realistic marriage. But quarrels still happened every day because of some very stupid reasons. I didn't want things to go on like that because at that time we had only been married for 1 year. So I consulted my best friend, Harry, a pianist. Harry is a typical romantic man, from his slim appearance and his white shirt and black pants to the way he expresses his feelings to women. When I expressed my problem, Harry said he needed to know my wife better before he could give me the best advice. So I came up with the idea of throwing frequent dinner parties and invite my group of friends over so that Harry could get to know Anne more to help me. Harry did not disappoint me at all. After coming to my house a few times, he was able to talk to my wife and understood her mentality and feelings. Unbelievably, Harry seemed to understand Anne better than I did just from a few meetings. Meanwhile, I had in love with my wife for 2 years with 1 year of marriage, but was completely lost in finding the way to love her the way she liked. Harry showed me a few tricks to please my wife, like taking her to Italian restaurants from time to have romantic dinners by candlelight, or simply hugging her while reading poetry to her. I still remember how forceful it was when I tried to do those things, which I knew were not my nature. But contrary to the expectation, after nearly a month of me trying to be romantic with Anne, she just became annoyed and cold to me even more than before. She was no longer as considerate to me as she used to be. Nothing I did seemed to please her. Out of her work hours, she just wanted to be alone in her room and befriended with her cell phone. A few times I tried to go home early to decorate the dining table delicately to impress her, but Anne didn't appreciate my efforts at all. She just shot a quick message saying that she had a sudden meeting at school and would come home late. I felt like an idiot at that time. I was disappointed and decided not to waste money on such fanciful things anymore. Our lives returned to the same blandness we used to be, until Anne learned that she was pregnant. Being pregnant seemed to change Anne completely. She became more energetic and cheerful. Her attitude toward me also became strangely more considerate. It was as if the hormones in her body had been completely improved through pregnancy. Seeing my wife happy, I also felt happier. Jeremy, our son, was born in the bliss of the whole family. He looks a lot like Anne, but his personality suits me well. I spent a lot of time looking after him since he was just a baby throughout his childhood. When he was a little baby and a toddler, I always volunteered to stay up at night to take care of him and was not afraid to change his diaper so that my wife could rest. Perhaps that's why Jeremy loves me more than Anne. Just like that, we became extremely bonded. We raised him with all the love we had, and life passed smoothly. Our son was getting ready for college. Sometimes in life, we often complain when things just go by so peacefully, without many changes. But trust me, guys, volatility is not what you want. My little Jeremy, at the best age of his life, was just killed in a traffic accident last month. He drove too fast, ran a red light, and was hit by a truck. Of course, I was completely devastated when my son died. But everything was more than what you can imagine. I was kind of right there when my son had an accident. To be more precise, I was on the phone talking to Jeremy. Just a few minutes away, he called me in a panic. He was driving and crying really hard. His mood was obviously not stable. I tried to calm him down, but he kept screaming, "We were all fooled, Dad. She's ruthless." I lost my temper and shouted at him, asking him to pull over to the side of the road to clarify what he was saying. It was then the other truck crashed into his car. During the time my wife and I were in the hospital, I could only cry and pray for my son to survive the crash. But God did not smile at us. My sweet son died of multiple injuries. It wasn't until the moment when I was blankly staring at my son's photo during his funeral that everything he said before he died come back to me. I grabbed Anne's shoulder tightly and interrogated her right there. With a face of loss and despair, Anne confessed everything to me. Jeremy is not my child. He was the product of the love between Anne and Harry, the pianist, my friend. I couldn't believe my ears and frantically searched among the funeral visitors for Harry, but it seemed like he did not attend the funeral of his son. Seeing me like that, Anne cried that Harry couldn't come because he had end-stage cancer and was hospitalized at that time. That was why she brought all the secrets he'd hidden for so long to tell Jeremy, trying to convince him to pay a visit to Harry once as his own son before he died in loneliness in that hospital. Anne's words were like a knife stabbing deep in my heart. I thought it was my fault. But no, this is the truth. He is the biological father of my son, and he did not want to marry other women because of his love for my wife. I despise them. I was furious, grabbed Anne's shoulder, and screamed nonsense. I was ashamed for not being able to control myself, but none of the things she said was Jeremy's fault. He didn't deserve all of that guilt and pain to know his mother cheated. I hated this woman for killing my son, but I am not a wife-beater. Or at least at that moment, I didn't have the energy to harm her anymore. No matter what I do, my Jeremy is gone forever. I don't know what to do, guys. Harry was the best friend I trust to ask for advice about my marriage, yet he betrayed me right behind me. I despise Anne. What the heck is romance, and how important is it to her that she could trade that for infidelity and family affection? Just because I couldn't express my feelings the way she wanted when we first got married, she betrayed me with my best friend. Worse still, they had been acting and lying for 18 years to trick me and my son. It was Anne who killed my son. Or was I the culprit, guys? I feel so stupid and useless right now. My son is gone. My best friend and my wife are gone. All I can control is my own life, and I want to quit on that too. Can you help me?